watching Thread Life with Belle. Her live show is starting soon. Quilting, teaching, sewing, making lovely things. Come on and join us. It's almost time for Thread Life with Belle. Yeah, I said the live show is starting soon, so keep your YouTubes tuned to Thread Life with Belle, with Belle, with Belle. On YouTube starting very soon, so stay tuned, Belle is getting ready for you. Quilting, teaching, sewing, making lovely things. Come on and join us. It's almost time for Thread Life with Belle. Yeah, I said the live show is starting soon, so keep your YouTubes tuned to Thread Life with Belle. Thread Life, Thread Life, Thread Life, Thread Life, Thread Life, Thread Life with Belle, starting soon.
Happy Friday, quilty friends. Welcome to Thread Life with Belle. And I'm glad you're hanging out with me here at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time on a Friday night. We are going to learn about English paper piecing. So if you are joining me for the first time, earlier this week on Monday, I did part 1, which was us actually making our papers for English paper piecing. And so tonight, we've got all the supplies here, and I'm gonna show you how to stitch this cute little hexie. And I've been stitching them for a long time. I mean, I've got a stack here, all out of the same scraps. These are all like from a collection that I had scraps. And I've just stitched away whenever I'm traveling or the airport, airplane, riding in the car. It's a fun little project to do. You could do it at home. Some people like to do it when they're watching TV and be able to be with their kids or their partner or whatever. I tend to do it when I'm traveling. So that is what we're going to learn tonight, is how to stitch English paper piecing, hexies. Now, there's all kinds of shapes that you all can make. But we're gonna stick with the basics. This is like the most common. This is the quilt block that's in Grandmother's Flower Garden. If you've ever seen that with all of these all connected in these beautiful quilts, that's what it is, and you actually could do that. I have not stitched all of these together to make a great big quilt before, but what I do like to do is I like to stitch them onto squares or tote bags, or today I actually stitched 4 of these to a cotton dress that I'm going to be wearing in a few weeks, and they're really a lot of fun. You could put them on denim jackets, put them on your jeans, the front of the legs of your jeans, or like I said, you can applique them to squares, sew those squares together and sew them in a quilt. And that's actually what the plan is for all of these. These are actually eventually just going to be sewn onto squares. I'll probably do, I don't know, 8-inch blocks maybe, and then these will be appliqued to there. So that's the plan with these. So I'm going to turn on the overhead now. I want to say I'm going to have a giveaway tonight. So Benartex is our sponsor. They've sent this is a new collection. When I turn the overhead on, I'm going to actually show you all of the prints in this pretty collection. This is from my friend Rachel Rossi, and it's called Modern Vintage. And this is one of her new collections, and it's printed on eco-friendly fabric, which is really nice. It's got like a vintage feel to it. And so she's one of my counterparts there at Benetech. So I'm also a new fabric designer, and my first collection won't come out until Quilt Market this fall. So I'm kind of in this in-between phase of using a lot of solids and some of my friends' collections up until the time I can actually get mine to sew with mine this year. Okay, if you are here, like and subscribe if you don't mind. This channel is just starting, and that helps me get this out to more and more people. So also, when you do, hit the little notification bell, and then you'll be alerted to all the times that I'm going live. Typically, I am going live 3 days a week. So Monday, Friday, and then stitching Saturdays. This Saturday, I'm not. We're having a staycation. We were supposed to be camping right now, but we've got a storm that's coming in. It's going to be raining all weekend, so we had to cancel. So we're having a staycation, and that is where we actually pay no attention to time, have no contact with people. We nap, we sleep, we watch movies in bed, all that fun stuff. Oh, thanks, Megan. I'm glad you're back. You know, I can't wait to see my collection in fabric as well. I mean, there's something about seeing it in person. Now, I've seen it on paper, and I've actually got all of the prints on paper right now. It's been sent off to be printed at the mill, and so I'm waiting for, we got the strike-offs back, actually. I've not physically touched them, or they haven't mailed them to me yet, but hopefully, probably here in the next couple of months, I'll have some yardage to start working with to make samples to be able to show you guys. So I'm really excited too. Thanks, Mary. Thank you. Yeah, this is a beautiful collection of Rachel. So the giveaway tonight is this charm pack, okay? And the giveaway is for those that stay. I'll do it at the end when we're done with our hexie. So hang out with me if you wanted to win this tonight. If you're in the United States, it's free shipping. If you're outside the United States and you want to be part of it, you'll just need to be responsible for the shipping. So a little bit on that. So this is the charm square version that has all of these prints in it, okay? So let me do the overhead here, and I'm gonna let you take a look at these up close. So this is her collection here, Rachel's, and you can see these beautiful colors. She's got these nice vintage vases on there. So that comes in a couple colorways. It's pretty, it's kind of an orangey peach here. It's like an orangey peach. And then we go a little bit darker, Look at this one, isn't that pretty? Isn't that fun? And the fabric, like I said, it's eco-friendly. So the way it's printed makes it really nice for the environment, which is really nice. So look at this one. Here's some of the lighter prints there. And then we'll get to the blues. There's a pretty blues. And then there's there's two grays, a light gray, a darker gray, and one black, which I won't be using the black because I don't like to sew with black. I like to wear black, but I don't love to sew with it, so it doesn't bring me joy. So I actually don't. So I'm gonna be making something with this one, but I wanted you to be able to see all of the prints so you could see those. So this is what is gonna be the giveaway tonight, this one here. All right, and all those are in there. So stay to the end for a chance to win that. Thanks to Benetech for sponsoring tonight. Really, really grateful for them to do that. Okay, I'm gonna zoom out here a little bit so you guys can see kind of what I've got going on and what we've got here tonight. There we go. One more time, there we go. And you can kind of see kind of all of the goodies and the supplies and all that good stuff. Now what's gonna happen is I'm going to, when it's time to actually stitch, the camera over at my sewing machine is really, really crystal clear. So when it comes time to stitch, I'm actually gonna move over there so you can see really up close what I'm talking about when I say when we stitch our hexies together, we only go 1 to 2 thread lengths down. I want you to be able to see that well. So I'll pop over there and we'll do it over there, but I want to kind of start here to show you with beginner English paper piecing all of the things that you would need, okay? Now, let me say first off, I have a beginner English paper piecing kit. Everything that you need is in here to be able to start. And I'll open this up and show this to you in a minute. So if you're like, I don't have all these things you're showing me, and you're not sure if you would love to do English paper piecing, this is a great way to start. And I made these because people were asking, Belle, do you have like a starter kit? And I didn't. So I put one together. So I do have these in the description box. Everything I'm using is listed there below. Quilt Husband also is at the command station over there, dropping links in if people need them. But if you've got this stuff already, use what you've got. No need to buy anything if you've already got these items. I'm showing you the things I love, but you do you. You do what's best for you. So I've been doing English paper piecing for probably about maybe 2.5 years now, and I love it because, as you learned on Monday, I make my own leave-in stabilizer papers so that these do not have to come out. They stay in, and it saves time and you get straight to stitching. So if you all missed that, you can go back to Mondays, and it is making leave-in stabilizer papers for English paper piecing, and that's what we went over there. So this is the little box I use whenever I am in the studio, and if I'm sitting over on my couch and maybe I'm watching TV or something, I'll kind of put everything in here. When I'm traveling, I take my pouch, and I've got everything in here that I need, including my readers, and I just keep all that in there, throw it in my tote bag or my backpack, and take it on the plane or wherever I'm going. So those are just the things. Hey, Susan. Yeah, no problem. You can catch the front end of it later. I'm just kind of talking to people a little bit about the supplies. So we're just getting to the supplies and stuff. Okay, let's kind of go over those things that are needed. Well, actually, before we do that, let me show you some of the Hexies that I've made. So this is the jewel petal shape here. And you can have a lot of fun with this. So these are fussy cut. These are little roses, and these were all scraps. So I do a lot of EPP with my scraps only. I have yet to cut up a full collection. Like, I have yet to cut up like a big bundle of fabric. That's what I use my AccuQuilt for, to cut all of my fabrics and all of my pieces there. Now, you actually could do it with this. Depending on if you're doing Hexies, you could probably get 3 across. I think you can probably get 6 out of one charm square, but I like to use scraps. I think it's a great way to use it so that I don't waste them. So anyway, these are just some samples there that you can see. I've stitched these over time, camping, traveling. This one I combined 2 different prints for this one. Then we've got the darker one. So this is all the jewel petal, okay? This jewel petal shape. And there is a neck lot, Megan, that I use. It's actually in the house. And it's actually, I believe I've got it in my Amazon store. I'll have to link that back here for the video and you guys in the description box when this is over. So I'll link that for you there. I have a new one that was given to me, let's see, maybe a month or so ago by a guy that has come out with a new one. I still have it in the packaging. I haven't used it yet, so I can't say I recommend it yet till I've used it and I truly can vet it and say absolutely. But the one necklight one that I do use when I'm traveling, I'll post that link for you, but it's in my Amazon store, and I like it. It works really well. This one that he sent is kind of one that's a magnet. You can put it as a magnet on your shirt, or it's got like a little neck harness thing to put around there too. So I'll circle back on that. Hi, Eugenia. Hello, I'm glad you're with me. Will I bring my EPP kit with me when I visit your guild in May? Yes, I will bring a few. I'll bring them with me for some people that may want to buy those. I go to guilds and do trunk shows and teach classes and stuff, so I'll be going to one here in Arkansas in May. Actually, 2. I'm going to 2 in Arkansas. Hi, Cricket. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. We got some new faces tonight. Well, how many of you have done English paper piecing? I'm curious to know. Let me know in the box. Give me a yes or a no. And, you know, have you had bad experiences with it? All those kinds of things. All right, so those are some samples for you there. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the things that I use in my kit, okay? And the things that I have here are, almost all these things are in my kit as well. So first thing is, I mentioned I love to stitch with 80 weight thread, 80 weight cottonized polyester, or 60 weight. The reason why is because you're less liable to see your threads. So with these here, I don't know, you'll be able to see probably better when I'm doing it over at the other camera by hand. You can't see the threads hardly. And if you use 50 weight, when I first started, I used 50 weight, and you can really see your stitches. And when you're new at it, you can be a little off with your stitches sometimes, and you don't want those to show as much usually. So I prefer 80 weight. That's my favorite. It's almost invisible. Susan, I'm glad. I can't wait to hear that if you like about the leave-in paper method. So yeah, let me know about that for sure. It's a game changer for sure. Okay, so this is the bobbinator. It's on my website. This basically can be a spool of thread. You put all your bobbins in here, pop it on your sewing machine, and it's a spool of thread, and you can use up all your bobbin thread that you've maybe just, you know, got wound up and you want to use up. But I use it for when I do English paper piecing. So the lid screws off, and you've got one compartment at the top for like the main thread that you're using. So that stays in there and it doesn't touch the other three at the bottom. Then there's a little slit here on the side, and that is to be able to pull your thread through here like this. So you pull it through like that. And then you can just screw the top back on. Now the bottom comes off as well, and you can take out all three and get whatever color you want and swap out your colors. So that's really, really handy that way. So I travel with this. I used to throw in a thing of thread like this. This is also, let's see, this is actually 100 weight. This is silk thread. I've thrown these like different colors in my bag, and when I open it up after traveling and it tossing around, I've got tons of thread everywhere in my bag tangled up. So I'm like, nope, no more of that. So this is really handy. You can rewind your bobbins and just put more and more in thread on them. So once you buy one of these, you don't need another one. It's like your forever friend. So either thread 80 weight or 60 weight's my recommendation. I also have this little thread catcher. This is one of those where you save like the plastic off of a bottle, water bottle, and you're able to stitch these together. I think my guild when I was in Missouri made these, and I bought a couple of them, but it just twists and then it just closes like this, and I throw it in my bag so that I don't have string all over the airplane. I'm sure they don't appreciate that, to find all these threads everywhere or in the doctor's office. So I do keep that with me. A glue stick, I prefer Sew Line. So one of these comes in your kit. It's got a refill, and also the pin is in there. So that's the brand I like to use. You might want to try another one. This is a favorite new thing of mine that I really, really enjoy. This is by Sew Tights. It's a magnet, and it actually connects to your shirt here. So I'm going to go ahead and connect it there. It's a magnet. And then, whoops, I guess that would be good if I connected it correctly. And your snips will stay stuck to it. Okay, so I've got it right there, and then your snips just connect like that. Can y'all see that up in the little corner there? Yeah, you can lay them down if you want, but these are really handy to have those just right there, and you just slide it off, and your scissors are handy. Again, it's in the description box. If you think you would want something like that, you've got those scissors there. Okay, I also have a needle book to have my different needles in, because I have dropped them before, so I usually carry 3 or 4 needles. I use these Sew Tights coral dots. These are also from Sew Tights. I'll show you in a moment when we get started on the hexie. You've got a magnet, the front and a back, and these keep your pieces together whenever we put both of our pieces together to stitch these. In the beginner kit, I actually give you a clover clip to use to be able to do this instead of the Sew Tights dots. They're a little pricey, so the kit is basically your basics to see if you like it, if you like doing English paper piecing, and it works the same. There's times like I've used a clip as well, so these are the little mini clover clips to kind of keep these together when you're stitching, so that is in there. Also a needle minder, so this is my Stitch Lovely Things needle minder here. See if you can see that there. It says Stitch Lovely Things. And that way, when you set your needle down, when you, leave or need to take a break or go to the bathroom or whatever, it holds your needle and you don't lose it or end up sitting on it. And then lastly, thread gloss. Now, I used to not use thread gloss, but I do now because it helps it not tangle as much. So you can get any kind of thread gloss you want. This is from Ponderosa. It's called Southern Blend. She has different scents. If you don't want scents, no problem. Hey Lori, welcome. That's okay if you're late, no problem. We're just glad you're here. So those are the items that I'm going to be using tonight for this. Now, really quickly, let me just kind of open this up. So in the kit, it's got your papers. Now this one literally has real papers, okay? This doesn't have the leave-ins that I made. It literally has the papers. So you've got your thread in here to use your 80 weight. You've got a little pair of basic snips, a little finger thimble, your clover clip, your needle minders in there. You've also got a needle book, and you open it up and it holds your needle there, and it's a magnet. This is a magnet, so you've got that. I've also given you all of the fabric that you need. So you've got enough to make 1 jewel petal, and then enough to make 2 of the Hexies here, and then it's got all your papers. Those are all in one envelope there. And then you've got your glue stick, brand new glue stick, and a refill. And then you've also got this that tells you what's in there, and also you scan this QR code and you can go to my video series for all 3 videos on how to do all of this. So if you forget everything tonight, you can either rewatch this video or go, you can watch my tutorials there on that as well. So that is what is in the kit. If you've never done this and you're thinking, oh, I want to do this, there you go. All right, use the sew dots too, Janelle. Yeah, I love them. They're strong, so they really kind of keep everything together. They don't get in your way. They're super, super handy. Okay, I don't need the needle book, so I'm actually gonna take all of this over to the other camera where my sewing machine is, because the lighting is better over there. So let's go on over there to the machine. Any questions? I've got my tablet over there, so I'll be able to read chat. So if you've got questions or what have you, let me know. And for those that came in late, I am doing a giveaway tonight. We're doing, Benartex is our sponsor. This is my friend Rachel Rossi's new collection that came out. It is called Modern Vintage, and if y'all know me, you know I like vintage stuff, so I really do like this collection. Those are what the prints look like. The giveaway is for a charm pack. For those in the US, it's free. For those outside the US, you'll just need to pay shipping. So, all right. One other thing, there is a pattern for you guys. It's pinned up at the top of the chat. This is my Petal Starburst quilts, and this is actually the pillow version, but it's a free pattern. It's a video tutorial pattern. So what that means is you get a download that has everything you need, like how much fabric, how many of these you need to cut, all of that kind of stuff, because you got to fussy cut them. So the fabric requirements are a little different than if you're following an actual quilt pattern. But all that's in there, and then it's got the video tutorial to teach you how to make this really pretty one. And this is a combination of petals and hexies. And Chris got it linked there for you. And you can see, I mean, I think that pattern, I made 19, I think, of these possibly. And then they're appliqued onto a solid piece of fabric. And you just sew those together. And so this one I use kind of thicker thread along the outside so you can see it. So anyway, that is there for you if you decide you want to, you really love this and you like, ooh, I love that shape. I think I probably should have maybe used a little better contrasting, but you know, it's okay. This was a big contrast compared to these, so you can have all kinds of fun with these. All right, so I did want to mention that to you. Okay, let's go on over to the machine, and I'm going to take my supplies over here. And like I said, this camera is a lot better, so we're gonna do this here so you can see kind of what I'm doing. So what you need to be able to do this is you need your center. Let me grab the actual hexie so I can kind of explain that to you. Okay, so here we go. Here's your hexie. This is what we're gonna stitch up tonight, okay? This is your center, so I've picked this one for my center. And remember, I've got my leave-in paper, my leave-in stabilizer in there, so I don't have to take mine out. And then you need 6 hexies to go around it. So these are the 6. These are the ones that I've picked out of my group there. And this is what you're gonna end up with. And I will just stitch these and just save them, and eventually they'll be part of a quilt there. Okay, we'll put that out of the way over here. Okay, so you are gonna start first off with these 2. So you've got your center hexie here, all right? And they're gonna go right sides together. So this is your first petal, this is your center, all right? So we're gonna go right sides together, and it doesn't matter where you start. You could start at any one of these edges. I tend to start usually around 1 o'clock, and they'll be right sides together. And then I tend to work clockwise, but you could do counterclockwise, completely up to you. Everybody feels a little different about which direction they sew with their needle, so you might want to try some different things with what feels comfortable for your hand, but the way I'm going to show you is what feels comfortable for me. So feel free to alter that if you want at all. Okay, so I'm going to get my coral dot here, and with the coral dot you're going to put one dot here and then your other one behind you there, like that. All right. Okay, we've got that ready. Now I've got my thread gloss here. So with your thread gloss, let me grab my needle off the needle minder. I just tend to take my thumb and hold the thread, and then I just pull. And I'll usually do it about 2 times. You do not have to use this. It does not damage your fabric. But I do use thread gloss, and it helps with the tangles there. So there we go. Okay. All right. Now, if you did not have the coral dot, like if you order the kit or you don't want to use those, you could do the same thing with this clip. The clip, you'll just clip it out of your way towards the back here of your hexie. Okay. Just out of your way there. And you'll stitch like that. So that's that. Okay. I've already threaded my needle, and this is what I do. I tie a double knot at the top, and I also tie one at the bottom. And I tie the double knot at the top because, and this is just one, you just go through, this is one layer, layer here. You don't double up your thread. It's just one. And I do 2 knots at the top because sometimes it can come unthreaded, unfortunately, and then you have to rethread it. So it on occasion will still even do that, but if you tie it pretty tight, you're usually pretty safe that it's not going to come unthreaded. I hate having to rethread, but sometimes you do, and it's a little hard sometimes in a car or on a plane. So doubling it up like that's helpful. And then having the knot at the end is helpful so that when we pull this through the first time, it doesn't keep pulling all the way through our hexies. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go on the end here. We're going to start at one of the ends. I start at the one closest towards me. And we're going to go down 1 to 2, I tend to do 2, 1 to 2 thread links down. All right, so let me get that a little bit closer for you there. You see where I've got that? About 1 to 2 thread links down. Now here's the great thing, because we're not using paper, if you caught that stabilizer in there, you're barely gonna feel it. Like the needle will still go through like butter. If this was cardstock, like the papers, it's really hard on your fingers and you have to like pull it back out and try it again. And this is just really forgiving. So I really enjoy it. Also, I use the Sue Daily 11 millimeter, the milliner's needles. It's the number 11 milliner's needles. And so those are in my shop, and also this is included in the kit, but I've tried all kinds of needles. These are long enough to where my fingers don't get tired because they're long enough, but it also has a slight bit of bend to it, which is really helpful. If you've got a really thick needle, it's harder to get it through your fabric. So I prefer the Sue Daily 11 milliner's needle. That's just my preference. Okay, so we've come down about 2 thread lengths. And then we're gonna, I go from the back to the front. That's how I stitch, because we're gonna be doing a whip stitch, back to front, back to front, back to front. Some people like to come from the front and they poke it through to the back and then pull it out. It feels awkward to me, but again, you do what works for you. So I start from the back, pull it to the front here, and you just kind of gently pull it, and that knot stopped it there. We're gonna do it again in the same, pretty much the same spot, because we're gonna tie a knot. So I'm pulling it through, and you can see how it could be easy to tangle if you don't have thread gloss, and on occasion it still will. Now when I get to this point here where there's the loop, you see that loop there? I'm actually going to pull the needle through, and I'm gonna make a knot. So I'm pulling it through there, making a knot, There's the first one. Make a second knot. This is going to keep it secure. So we're going about 2 thread lengths down, pulling it through, and when you get your little loop there, like that, pull your needle through it and you make your second knot. And now we're ready to really get to stitching. So when you think about how far apart do you want your stitches, people have different preferences. If you're going to put this in a quilt, I suggest making your stitches closer together because you know, you want to have the integrity of your quilt block, which is appliqued usually onto a piece of fabric, or if you're doing grandmother's flower garden, all these really, you want to be really tight seams, and you're hand stitching, so it's a little different than using a machine. So I tend to come down, oh, maybe about an 1/8 of an inch are my stitches apart. You could do 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch, but I do about an 1/8 of an inch approximately. Let me see if I can get that closer for you to see. And once we get this first row done, I'll open it up so you actually can kind of see that these stitches are pretty invisible. I'm using in my threads there that I mentioned that are on my website, I picked neutral colors. A silver, like a dove gray or a light gray, will go with, basically blend with any fabric color for the most part. For the most part it will. So there's a lot of neutrals. I tend to basically use neutrals. Now on this one, I could have used this really pretty kind of golden color here, because that's the color of the center one. The other one is brown, but I didn't want it to blend completely so that you could see the threads. So I'm just coming down, and again about an 1/8 of an inch down. Some people may do a little bit more, and just keep stitching, whip stitching all the way down like this. Okay, and while I'm doing this, I'm also going to look over and see if we've got any questions. Actually, may have Quilt Husband tell me any questions. Okay. He's been so helpful, y'all.
It's really cute.
Oh, good. I'm glad you like it. I think they're cute too. They're actually really, really relaxing to make. Super relaxing to make.
Megan says she needs to learn to applique to put flowers on blocks.
Oh yeah, so that's super easy. I'll have to do that maybe, Megan. I'll do that for one of my lives. I'll just applique, I actually just appliqued 4 of them to a cotton dress a couple of hours ago. So I'll have to do a little one on that. You just use the machine in your open toe foot. If you've got a machine that has you can sew them down. You can just straight stitch around if you want, or you can use kind of special stitches on your machine. Okay, now we're getting to the end, so we're at the end now, at the end of this. Can y'all see those stitches? Let's see. Can you see all those? See, this camera's so much better, right? Okay, so here we go. We're gonna tie a knot down at the end again. Now it's up to you. You can do 1 or 2. My husband has this saying, actually I had it too when we were first dating, anything worth doing is worth overdoing. And I think with hand stitching, that is the case. Okay, so there you all see that really well. That's what it looks like. Those are the lengths of my stitches there. Now I'm gonna open this up so you can see it before we go on to the next one. All right, so here we go. All right, now it looks like there's like 1 stitch right there. You can see a little more than the other ones, and that means I just came down a little bit further than I did with the others. But when you look at it about this far away, can you see the stitches? No?
Yes.
You can see them?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, this camera is really good. I'm looking over to the side. Yeah. So if I had used this golden color right here, which normally is what I would use, you wouldn't see those hardly at all because the color blends. But I'm using this one so you can see the stitches better. So I came down a little bit too far on a couple of these. But the ones down here on this end, you can just barely see them. So imagine if you used 50 weight thread, how much more so you would see all of those stitches there, right? Okay, and someone had asked the other night, and I want to mention it again, when you wash this, what about the papers? They turn into basically like dryer sheets or kind of like tissue paper sort of. And so you don't really have to worry about those being back there. It's not gonna affect your quilt. Okay, so here we go. Remember, this is the center. So this is this one right here, the center one. So now we're gonna take another petal, another hexie, and you could go this direction if you wanted, but I'm actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going, I told y'all I go clockwise, counterclockwise actually. I don't know if y'all know this, y'all probably should know this. I have a little bit of dyslexia if y'all weren't here for my first show. So there are times that I will say the wrong word or I'll get things backwards, numbers, letters, all kinds of stuff. So FYI on that. Counterclockwise is the way I'm gonna go because I ended the thread right here. So I need to be able to pick up and start stitching this direction here. So again, we're gonna go right sides together, like that, right sides together. And I'm gonna get my coral dot. It holds it in place, and that helps that I'm not squeezing this really hard with my fingers, because if you have arthritis or your fingers get sore, if you're holding on to this really tight, your hands can get sore, and then this is not a lot of fun. So I really enjoy those, and you can just have a light grip now on it. You don't really have to have a tight grip at all.
Annette says hi from Kissimmee, Florida.
Hey Annette, welcome. I'm glad you're here.
Janelle says she's a lefty. She goes clockwise.
Okay, you go clockwise. Okay, Janelle. So do you start at the top and then stitch down? Yeah. So y'all can do whichever. You could start at the top, stitch down, and go clockwise. You could start at the bottom and go up and stitch counterclockwise. So, you know, try it both ways and see what feels most comfortable for you. Okay, so here we are. This is where we ended, right here. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna come in and we're gonna go 1 to 2 thread lengths down. And we're gonna tie a knot right there to get it started. And if you wanna do 2, you can do 2. Some people just do 1. I tend to do 2. If I'm talking or not paying attention, sometimes I'll forget to do 2, but 2 really secures that really, really well. And then we're just gonna do the same thing. We're gonna come down. And again, you can decide how far apart you want your stitches to be. I do about 1/8 of an inch. And it's not perfect. I mean, some people are really like perfect, and you have to do what makes you happy. I used to be a perfectionist, and I actually call myself a recovering perfectionist because it caused a lot of anxiety in my life for a lot of years, especially when I was younger. I'm gonna be 50 at the end of the month. And I think as we get older, we kind of learn some valuable lessons that we wished we had realized when we were younger, but it is what it is, right? So with my quilting, like sometimes if a point gets cut off, if it's not too bad, or seam's not lined up perfectly, I just let it go, because thinking about unpicking all of that, all the joy I experienced putting it together kind of gets a bit unraveled when I have to do that. So I pick my battles, but the same with the stitching. Don't be hard on yourself. I've had some people when I teach this at guilds, or I've also taught it online, they're like, oh, I'm bad at this. The very first time they're doing it, and their stitches, they're down too far, and they're all different lengths. And I'm like, listen, this is how we learn. You know, we have to do it and practice it to get better at it. But just give yourself credit for trying, and we have to start somewhere. So the more you do this, the easier it gets. So I'm at the end.
Practice makes progress.
Practice makes progress. That's what, yeah, Jenny Doan, I think she says that.
She says she likes your process. She hasn't done hand stitching in a while. You make it look easy.
Oh, thanks. Christy said that. Hey, Christy, welcome. Yeah, you know, I'm all about easy. I really am. Okay, so let's open this up, take a peek. Here we go. So we've got a second petal sewn on there. Now look, these stitches are better. Look at that. Now, in full disclosure, I don't have my readers on because I have to be able to see this camera that I'm showing to make sure I'm holding this up correctly. So, but look, isn't that better than this first one? See that a couple of those went down, but this one, you can barely see those. There. Yeah, much better than the other one. And again, if I was using the gold thread, you wouldn't hardly see those at all. Okay, so now what? Same thing. We grab another petal, right sides together, and I am going counterclockwise. We put our magnets on. And we do the same thing. And if you have a long enough thread, I usually do a little bit more than an elbow's length of thread. Get that down, scooted down just a little bit more. I don't typically have to rethread this until it's time to sew our hexies to each other. So what we'll be doing, we'll be sewing here on the side after we get these petals sewn on. So there's one. We're going to do it again. Make our loop to tie a knot there. Do y'all tie knots at your intersections? I'm curious to know. Oh, I'm going to have to scoot back in my chair. My back's hurting. Okay, and we'll do it again. It's kind of hard. I need like a piece of tape to tell me where to keep my hand so that quilt husband has to come over and say, you need to move your hand so they can see. I told him, I said, that's okay, I don't mind. I want to make sure that you're able to see what I'm doing. Okay, I've made 2 knots. How is my hand quilting project going, Annette? Are you talking about the one where it's the sassy granny, the granny squares with the cottonier? It's like the cotton linen blend. Whoops, okay, look, that came undone, even though I double knotted it, so sometimes that's gonna happen. So I'm just gonna rethread this while I talk. And remember, I got my little snips on my little magnet on my shirt, so that makes it a lot easier. I'll just snip that off. I have to snip it off because you'll see the ends are a little frayed. So just snip that off, and I'm gonna rethread it. Anyway, so I have it, Annette, on the embroidery hoop. It's a hoop that stands up, and I've got 1 block done. It's kind of ended up being a little intricate. I thought, oh, I'm just gonna do a little bit of hand stitching, and I'm using the big, thick 12 weight for a big stitch look. And so I've got 58 blocks that need to get done. And I told myself, I'm like, do I want to have a goal of when I want to have this finished? And kind of a rough goal is the end of the year, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Yep, that's it. Yep, that's the one. I got almost one block done. It's the one that, for those of you that are getting Quilt Folk, which I'm waiting for my copy, when they came to do the feature on me, that they photographed that one quite a bit, and you guys will see it if you get Quilt Folk magazine. It's a really pretty quilt. I actually started that quilt as far as piecing the top. That was one of those, I don't have a lot of UFOs. I don't like them. I like to have each project done, and I get kind of stressed and overwhelmed if I have more than 2 at once. And that was one of those ones that got put in a box, and I finally finished all those blocks this last fall at a quilt retreat I was at. Like, I try to go to my guild that I go to, the retreat in the fall. So I finished up all those blocks, got the quilt top all sewn together, and then in December, at the end of the year, I got it in the hoop, and I was like, you know what? I want to hand quilt 1 quilt in my life, at least 1, you know, to say that I've done it. And then who knows, if I really love doing it, I might keep doing it. Here's my problem, Annette, is that I have a little bit of ADHD, and it's hard for me to sit still. So I have to like literally make myself sit over there and do it. And so I really just need to give myself more of a schedule. Right now I'm just kind of, oh, I feel like going and doing a little bit of this, and I'll sit over there. If I keep that up, I'm not liable to finish it by the end of the year, but.
Janelle commented about knots at the intersections.
Oh, okay. You do 2 knots, Megan. Okay. Yeah, I typically do 2 as well. But like I said, sometimes if I get to talking, I could accidentally forget. Okay. Now I sewed one of these, I actually sewed 4 of these Hexies with the machine. I appliqued them onto a cotton dress this evening, y'all. Well, let me tell you what happened. If you go to my Instagram, you'll see the photos and the stories. I got machine oil on the brand new dress. It's a dress I'm taking to H&H Americas. It's a trade show. Okay, there we go. Quilt husband just came over and said, you need to go lower. There we go. Here we go, we're making it. Anyway, I was sewing on one of these Hexies, and this machine is new, and I guess there was some oil kind of up underneath there. Like, it has not gotten on anything yet. And all of a sudden, I mean, it was a big blotch of oil. And I was like, oh no, oh no. Will you hand me that stain remover under there? It's in a little yellow packet. I'm gonna show them what I used. It's called, it's a little yellow envelope packet of stain remover. I'm gonna show y'all what I used, and I think that it worked. Here it is. It's called Amodex. It's non-toxic. It gets out. Now, I've used it for blood, and it has worked when I pricked my finger. Well, it said oil, and it's this little packet, and you just squirt it on the stain but before you get it wet. So you squirt it on there dry, and you use your fingernail or like a little toothbrush, and you scrub it. And it causes the stain to like get up in, it's sucked up basically by the chemical, but it's non-toxic.
It's made in USA.
And it's made in the USA. It is women owned. And so I'd gotten like 4 or 5 packets when I was at a trade show a couple years ago. And I've only used it one other time for blood. And I was like, oh no. I've got it all over this dress that I'm wearing to this quilt trade show in Chicago in 3 weeks. I was like, oh, and the dress was new. I mean, granted, I got it on eBay, new with tags, and it was like, I don't know, $15. It wasn't that expensive, but I was really upset about it. So I remembered about that stain remover, and it got it out. If you look in my Instagram stories, you'll see the before, and then you'll see when it was still wet. So after you get it out, you wet it. I used a water bottle, and you kind of get out the goop, and then you launder it as normal. So I just washed it on the gentle cycle on cold, and now it's hanging to dry. So I'll be reporting back to everybody on Instagram to let them know. But it looked like it all came out, which was super handy. So if you get stains on quilts, I can tell you it has gotten blood off before, and it looks like it's probably going to get the oil off. And if you've ever almost ruined a quilt from something like that, it's good to have something to get those out. Have y'all ever stained up one of your quilts before, and were you able to get it out? Okay, here we go. We got that one on. So look, we're making progress here. Okay, we got 2 more. What are y'all doing tonight on this Friday night besides watching me? Are you guys in your studios or in your sewing rooms tonight doing anything fun, working on any kind of projects? Well, we were supposed to be camping, and I think I had told some of you guys when you were with me Monday, I'm going to be broadcasting live from our campsite today at 1 o'clock. Okay, see, I was talking and I didn't make my loop. Did y'all just see what happened there? So I'll make the tie. Anyway, we've got big rain coming, and we had to make the decision yesterday, and we've canceled the camping trip. Now, we tent camp, we glamp, so we have cots and memory foam mattresses, like the twin size. And we have an air conditioner that actually my husband rigged that works in our tent. Yeah. So we usually only get to go once in the fall and once in the spring just because of our schedules. So we've had this planned for like 3 months, and we had to cancel it. So that is why I'm not broadcasting live from the campsite at the Washita National Forest, I am here in my studio. So we decided we're gonna have a staycation. And for us, a staycation is when which starts after this live, like when we're done, staycation starts. We don't pay attention to time. So we don't like set alarms, we eat when we're hungry, we take naps, we watch movies in bed. We don't see anybody, so we don't leave the house, we just stay here. I don't typically take phone calls or anything unless it's like an emergency, you know. We just have a staycation. So we do that on occasion. So we're like, well, the weather's gonna be bad, so we might as well. But I'm not gonna do Stitching Saturday tomorrow. I'd planned on doing that, and then I was like, you know what? Not going to. So instead, on Monday, I'm gonna be doing how to make Dresdens with silk ties. I had a friend that passed away, and her husband gave me his silk ties, like 46 silk ties. Okay, look, I got a little knot back here. Can y'all see that? There's a little knot. That's on the back. You're not gonna see it, so it's not a big deal, so I'm gonna leave it. And let's get our last petal on, and then I'm gonna show you how to join the petals. Anyway, I have like 46 ties. So I went through, and what you have to do, and I'm gonna show y'all this on Monday, so that's my point. I'll be on Monday at 7. I'm gonna show you how to take apart a tie. Most are silk, but there are some polyester too. You have a certain way that you take them apart and cut them into the Dresden blades, and then you're gonna actually make your Dresden out of it. So that's what I'm gonna be doing Monday night if y'all wanna come back and see that. I won't get the full pillow, I won't get the pillow done, because usually I'm just on here for about an hour, but it's actually gonna be appliqued onto a pillow. You know, Megan, that's what I'll do. When it comes time for me to actually applique that on a pillow, if I have time, I'll do it Monday, but I don't think I will. I'll do a live on appliquing that. And then I'm gonna use my Baby Lock Sashiko, y'all. I'm gonna be starting to do lives on that later next week. I think probably next Friday. I'm gonna use the Baby Lock Sashiko, and it will replicate a hand stitch with I use thick 30 weight thread with that machine. And I'm gonna do that work on that pillow to quilt it. I'm gonna snip that off. Anyway, I'm making these memory pillows for my friend, and I'm making one for her and then one for her son. And then I've got a lot of little pieces left, so I think I'm gonna make little zip pouches for the granddaughters so that the granddaughters will have something from their grandpa to remember him by. So join me Monday night if you guys want to see that. And I've made Dresdens plenty of times. This is the first time to make them with silk. So yeah, join me for that whole process to see how that goes.
She's been collecting ties too. She's gonna make some Dresdens.
Hey Joy, I'm glad you're here. Oh, I'm glad you finally caught me live. I'm glad you're here. Oh, Mary got a Sashiko. All right, well tell all your friends, those that have Sashikos, join me. I think it's gonna be next Friday, but y'all just hit the little alert bell button. Make sure y'all subscribe if you're not subscribed. Like this video, share with your friends, and then if you hit the little bell, it'll alert you, the bell, ha ha ha, every time I'm gonna go live. And I try to schedule 1 to 2 in advance. And I'm gonna be doing a Baby Lock Sashiko series because people just are mesmerized by that machine. Okay, look, 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 look. And now before we stitch that together, let me show you real quick. I'm gonna give you all a little teaser. These are all the blades I've cut from all of those silk ties. Look at that, all those. Aren't those pretty? They're all ready to be made into Dresden blades. So there's 16 there. Well, there's actually double that. So there's 16 for each pillow. So that's what I'll be doing there. I got the prep work done. I'm gonna make one this weekend, and then I'll do the second one with you guys. Okay, here we go. So now the next step. Now, if this was paper back here, typically for this next spot, you would be bending. This has to bend for us to sew from, here to here, and then we have to cut our thread every time. So from here to here, you have to cut your thread, tie, do your double knot and tie it, and then start over. If you were using papers, this is kind of thick to bend here. But some people go ahead and you can pull that piece of paper out if you're using real paper, and then it's more bendable. But with these, with using this stabilizer, it bends really easy, no problem. Okay, so I've got that bent over. I'm gonna put my coral dot back on, and this is a good time to really make sure it's all lined up before you start stitching it. Put the coral dot on here, and then we're going to do the double knot again right here. Whew. Oh, thanks, Cricket. Oh, the ties. Are you talking about the ties? Oh, what I'm doing right here? Thanks. You guys can do this too. You know, it's funny. I've had some friends say one of the reasons they took this up was because they're always in their sewing room, and their husbands were like, you never spend any time with me, because they're sewing in the evening. And so some of them took up doing this so they could still get their quilty fix, but sit and sew with their husband in the living room. Some people love to take it like to the park. So if you're a young mom and you've got littles, you're waiting in the car rider line, you can take it there, or you're at the park and they're playing and you're watching them, you can take it there. I know a lot of people take these to doctor's appointments, and sometimes I will. I tend to do this more when I am traveling. I fly quite a bit for both this business and my other job, which I have a training and consulting business, and I do quite a bit of training consulting with nonprofits throughout the country. And lots of times it's virtual, but when it's not and I have to fly, then I always throw this in my bag, because I've had so many layovers and delays and all of that, and I can get quite a bit done. So all of those hexies that I showed you were done traveling or camping. I'll sometimes do it in the car, but I tend to sometimes get a little car sick, so I'm not really able to do it quite as much, or if you hit bumps and all that, it's a little hard. Okay, and let me tie this knot in it, and I'll read your question and see what you're asking. Do the stitches on hold up as well as the big stitch hand quilting? Okay, so yes and no. I'll talk a lot about that when I start using this machine on the lives. Okay, before I answer that, let me show y'all something here. So here I am. This is the only amount of thread I've got left right here on this. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and get some new thread here and rethread this to finish up what we're doing. So I'm just gonna kind of pull that off, that little, see, I knotted it, put it on my needle minder. Now I'll show y'all how this works here. You see it just pulls out like that. And then I do about an elbow's length, pull my arm all the way out, and then I'll cut it. I'll leave a little bit out so I can grab it the next time I need it. Oh, Dolores, yeah, your husband's like, well, that's nice, Dolores, that he wants to be with you, right? I mean, I guess the bad thing is if you had a spouse who like, I don't care what you do, I don't really want to spend quality time, that would not be so good. So I do have a few mamas that I know of, they do have theirs in the living room to watch their kiddos play and to be in there with the family. So yeah, you just have to do what works for you. But I love EPP because I can do it on the go, and I do find it relaxing. And it's a great use for scraps. So,
Prepped for Eternity Homestead says hello.
Hello, Prepped for Eternity Homestead. I need to shorten that. What can I call you to shorten? That's a long one for me to try to remember to say. I'm glad you're back with us again. I'm so glad some of y'all are like repeat offenders of Thread Life with Belle. That makes me happy. Okay, I'm tying a knot down here at the bottom. So I've double knotted at the top. I'm tying a double knot down here at the bottom so that it's not gonna pull all the way through whenever I do this again. Okay, then we're gonna get the thread gloss out. Use my thumb. I'll pull it 3 twice. Oh, Jennifer. Okay, Jennifer, I will try to remember and have quilt husband. I'm horrible with names, but I'll try to remember, Jennifer, to call you Jennifer when you come on. Thanks for coming back. Okay, here, looky there. We've got that one connected. Let's see how that looks. Y'all, and my fingernail polish is chipping. I'm sorry. We were putting raised beds together today, and there were 2 of them to put together. So my hands got a little messed up. Okay, there we go. We've got that back on. We're ready to do our next stitch, and then I'll talk about the Sashiko. Who asked me about that? Was that Annette? They asked me about the Sashiko?
Yeah, Annette asked the question.
Okay, so here's the deal with the Baby Lock Sashiko. One, it can be pricey, okay? So typically most people pay on average around $2,500. That's a good deal. If you get it on sale, $2,500. If it's not on sale, $3,000, okay? It only does 1 stitch. It's the sweetest story. The man that created the machine in Japan and invented it, made it for his wife who could no longer hand stitch anymore. Her hands just, and her eyes, it was just where she needed something different. So he made this machine so she could still have that lovely look of a hand stitch. Okay, they came out with the Baby Lock Sashiko first version, and there was some trouble with the bobbin area. So they came out with the Baby Lock Sashiko 2. That's what I have, is the 2. Okay, so if y'all end up finding a used one, because there is a Baby Lock Sashiko group on Facebook, and a lot of people do end up selling theirs because they end up not using it like they think they would, okay? Or some people find it finicky. Now, I don't find mine finicky. I watched the Baby Lock tutorials on it. Evie Hawkins has also got several. She doesn't quilt with hers. She uses it for like embroidery, embellishment type things. So I have developed, I have recorded a few tutorials way back when I started my channel. One of them is me actually quilting an entire quilt with it, edge to edge. So I want to explain that. There's 2 ways that I have used it on quilts, edge to edge, and that is because when you go like edge to edge straight across, and you're not stopping and tying off threads in the middle, you don't have to worry as much about the threads coming undone. So if you sew all the way to the edge, it's going to get caught up in your binding. I put a little dab of glue on the back of my quilt where I have tied off the thread to make sure your last stitch, it locks in place, but I go ahead and add a dab of glue. Now the other way I love to use it, you guys will probably see me use it more for, love it on tote bags. All my tote bags, I use it on, always. But quilt as you go. So what I'll be showing you guys is quilt as you go. So I'll have my batting behind it. And when you do that though, you're not really doing edge to edge, okay? So you're having to tie off the threads on the back so that when you wash it, they don't like come unraveled. So I have 1 quilt that I did, I put I did quilt as you go. I actually did stabilizer, because you can't just stitch with the machine without something behind it. You need batting or a firm stabilizer, or the machine is not happy. And so I gotta tie another knot in the bottom since I had to cut this off. I did each block. I have the quilt put up, but I'll have it out when I do a live on it so y'all can see. Each of the, I think there were 12 blocks, and they were, I think, 14-inch blocks. I did embellishment quilting on each of those 12 blocks. And then I sewed each of those blocks together to make the quilt top. So there is stabilizer behind each of those 12 blocks. Then I had it long arm quilted on top of that. So that was a really special quilt and a super cool way to do it if you want to add some embellishments. But if you look on my YouTube channel, go back to, it's the Bonanza quilt. It was back when I was a quilt pattern tester for Homemade Emily Jane, and it was her pattern. And I made that quilt. I was at Missouri Star birthday bash, and I had this lady. She had a walker. She was walking on the side of the street, and she came up to me, and she saw my tote bag. She's like, "That is beautiful. Are you a quilter?" I was like, "Yeah." And she just struck up this conversation with me, and she said, "I like to make things too. I made these earrings." So she showed me these earrings, and she was probably in her 80s. And apparently she's known for walking her block. She walks like once or twice a day and meets people. And she actually came out and said, "Will you make me a quilt? No one's ever made me a quilt my whole life." And she was just the sweetest little lady. And I'm partial to older ones. I just love them. And so I was like, "Well, write your name and your address down, and maybe I'll just surprise you with one eventually." I didn't want to promise, right? So anyway, this Bonanza quilt that I tested for Homemade Emily Jane, it had all these bright, happy colors. There's a lot of triangles in it. It was like a modern quilt. And it wasn't like a huge quilt, but it wasn't a small one either. So anyway, I ended up sending that to her and sent it to her in the mail so that she could, before she died, have one homemade quilt that was made for her. She said, "My mom," this is what made me so sad, "My mom is a quilter, but she never made me a quilt." I was like, oh, that broke my heart. So anyway, if you go back and look at that video, that is the story behind that Bonanza quilt. And there's a little lady in Hamilton, Missouri that has it now. And I used the Baby Lock Sasha coat on that one. And I also did a little stitching in the ditch to reinforce it too. So Annette, just a little bit about that. If you do a few things to reinforce the stitches, I haven't had any problems with the one quilt that I have that I do use on occasion. I've not had those come out. So I can't say that I've done it on a quilt that I wash all the time, so I don't know. But I do have it on my tote bags, quite a few of my tote bags. And when I do my live, I'll have a lot of my stuff out in which I have used the Baby Lock so people can kind of see it.
First thing about getting a Juki TL 2010. Does anyone know?
Yeah. Okay, so I have one. So I have the Juki 2020, which is the exact same machine as the 2010. It's just mine is silver, and it came with special quilting feet. Same machine. And I love it. That is what I've sewn on for 5 years. And I just recently got, this one is the big sister to it. This is the computerized version. This is the DX 4000, and I got it, Sewing Machines Plus actually sent it to me. I did not buy. I do some work for them, some live shows and stuff, and some teaching. I teach some classes for them. So they sent it to me and in exchange for me teaching. So long story short, this does a straight stitch like the TL. And I love the TL. It's a workhorse. I never have any trouble out of it. It can sew through like leather. I can do 12 layers of denim on it. So whenever someone is starting to quilt and they know they like it, I always suggest one of the TLs as your machine. If that's mainly all you want to do is piece, for sure that. Now, if you're wanting things with a zigzag stitch and all of that stuff, this machine I have right now, it's a high-end Juki, but it's still more reasonable than some of the other ones that are, this one's pretty fancy. I think it's on sale for like $4,300. It comes with a trolley case. It comes with like Juki stainless steel scissors. It's got applique stitches. It's got decorative stitches. It's got 2 different throat plates, so you can swap it out for a straight stitch like the TL, or you can put on a plate that's like the jelly bean to be able to do all the embroidery stitches and applique stitches. So anyway, long story short, I highly recommend a Juki TL. It's never broken. It's all metal. There's no plastic in it at all. And I never have any trouble out of it. So I love that machine. Okay, we're getting close, friends. We got 2 more. 2 more. And then we'll do the...
He uses his Sashiko to make pouches, handbags, notebook covers, and
PJ, she does. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great machine. I gotta cut this. It's a great machine. Okay, so someone in here has the Sashiko and someone's thinking of buying it. Is that right?
PJ has the Sashiko.
Okay. Yeah, PJ, so I don't tend to use mine on big full quilts. I'll do it quilt as you go because it's easier to get underneath, the throat area there that you have is not, it's not small, but it's not as big like as what I have here. I think I've got a 12-inch right here, throat space. So I tend to use mine on tote bags a lot, and then the quilt as you go. I'll do that as well, and I love it. I'll have before we end, I've actually got the tote bag top ready for Friday. I'll show you guys what I'm gonna do so you guys can see it when we close out tonight of what I'm gonna be using the machine for, so you guys can see that process. So tell your friends. And as far as it being finicky, a lot of it is about thread, not going too fast. You do want to keep the bobbin area just a drop of oil in there so that it doesn't clang. It shouldn't be really loud. I mean, you have to follow the directions that it tells you. The only time I ever have a little bit of trouble is if I'm using it on binding, which is beautiful on binding. Around the corners when you pivot. At times the thread can break. So you have to kind of be careful with where that needle comes down so it doesn't come down in too thick of a seam. But if it breaks, you just tie it off and bury the thread, and then, you know, pick up where you left off. It's not a huge deal. But Annette, again, I have not used it on a quilt that I wash all the time. The one that I have, and I've probably washed it maybe 3 times, where I did the embellishment on each block with the stabilizer behind it and then all over quilting, I've not had any trouble out of it. So that's kind of what I can say about that. My tote bags, I haven't had any trouble. So yeah. I don't think I would use it for like a baby quilt because that's going to be washed a lot. Okay, here we are, last seam. That's going to be washed a lot. Or for kiddos, you know, I don't know if I would spend all that time for that, but definitely for smaller things. Pouches would be, you know, another thing to use it for. But anytime I post, I'm cutting my thread here. Anytime I post on Instagram reels about that machine, I had one that I think it's like 250,000 views on it. Like, it's just, people are just amazed by it. And it's a really nice machine. Oh, to finish the story about mine, I paid $1,600 for mine, and it was a price match. So I found a brand new one in box on Facebook Market, and it was about 3 hours away. And my baby lock dealer, they had one that was, it was during COVID. And they had one that was, I think it was, they were asking 22. They price matched it. I think they wanted to sell it. And so I got it for $1,600, which I've been told is a steal for a brand new one. And I had some Tiffany jewelry that I didn't wear very often. So I sold that jewelry on eBay and used the cash to buy the machine. And you kind of have to tell yourself, if you're gonna buy it, you need to make sure you use it regularly. Otherwise, you could end up like some that are in kind of the Facebook groups or people that message out, they're like, I have that machine, it's still in the box in the closet. And that's because it can be a little bit intimidating for some, because it functions differently. You don't have the thread on the top. You don't thread it at all. You don't thread it through a needle. Everything is done from the bobbin area. So it's a really unusual machine, and it can feel a little bit intimidating. So I've had people ask me, will you please do a series? Will you please do a series? So I'm going to start doing some lives on it.
Jennifer says she's worried about the foot pedal with the cutter on the Juki 2010.
Oh, okay, so there's a little rubber thing, Jennifer. There's a little rubber stopper, and I have the rubber stopper on mine so that the thread cutter doesn't work. It's not engaged. For that same reason. You just add the little rubber and then that won't happen. It won't cut your thread if you don't want it to, because you can accidentally, you know, do that. Okay, y'all, we did it. We did our hexie. So I'm gonna move back over to the overhead, but there we go. And so what I would do right now is I would go over to my pressing station, use some starch, and I would press this flat like this. But listen, if these were papers, you would be having to pull this back and pull all of these out, and then all of these nicely glued seams would all be lifted up, and then you have to like press them back down. That is why I don't like to take out my papers. That's why I like the stabilizers, you know, and it's still flexible there. Okay, let's go back over to the overhead here. All right, we're back. Whew, look how red my face is. I'm having a hot flush. My husband's used to it. I had a hysterectomy in September, and it's been quite the ordeal getting my hormones leveled and gaining weight and all these things with my body. I tell you, getting older is not fun sometimes. But I did start weights once I got cleared to do a weights class, and I've been doing that with this little group of ladies. I'm the youngest one. I think after that, the next youngest is like in her 60s, all the way up to their 80s. And they've been doing this class for 15 years together. I mean, and I tell you that it's kind of kicked my butt a little bit. So that's been fun. Yeah, you know, Mary, it is hot under the camera. Thankfully, I have on a black t-shirt, so you're not going to see any armpit sweat. But yeah, and then I've got 2 bright lights here and 1 here so that you guys can see everything really well, but it's all right. I should turn the air down. Okay, here we go. These are Hexies. So that's how you stitch one. That's it. So I know I kind of talked through a lot of that to kind of get through it, not just being silent, but that's as simple as it is. And then I just stack them up. And these are all of these here are all made with the same fabric collection. So they're all the same color family. There's just lights and darks. And this eventually is gonna be applique onto a quilt. I'm not gonna connect all of these. So if you were doing Grandmother's Flower Garden, if y'all aren't familiar, if you're a little bit newer to quilting, all these would be connected together like this. You take all your Hexies and you stitch them together like this. They all connect, see that? And wouldn't that be pretty? I just don't think I'm gonna have the patience to do all of that and make, you know, 100 of them. I don't know. It could eventually be on my bucket list. We'll see, but that's that. Okay, let me see, a couple things. So one thing, what we learned for the drawing is I have to start 5 minutes ahead of time because the free spin the wheel thing that picks a random winner for our fabric tonight, it takes like, what is it, 90 seconds?
5 minutes.
It takes 5 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and have y'all do that. Premarin is your friend. Well, I'm on testosterone, progesterone, and estrogen, all of it. Yeah, all the bioidenticals. So it's helping, it's definitely helping, but sometimes I have a little bit of an issue. Okay, I digress. Go ahead and enter in while I'm getting the tote top. I'm gonna show you the quilt top for the Sashiko. I'm gonna show it to you. What I need you to do, for those of you here that are interested in our prize tonight from Benartex, it is this fabric here. These are the prints, but it's coming in a charm square. I need you to enter the word win, and it's lowercase, W-I-N, all lowercase. Just go ahead and enter that here in the chat, and Quilt Husband is gonna go ahead and get that going. So I'll give you like, I don't know, 30 seconds to enter in win, W-I-N, lowercase, if you want to win the giveaway tonight. And then I'm gonna go grab what I'm gonna show you that I'm gonna be working on for live on the Sashiko on next Friday night. Do y'all like Friday nights or do you like 1 o'clock on Fridays? See, I'm going back and forth. I done 1 o'clock and Quilt Husband was like, I think you should try 7 o'clock. So we're trying 7 o'clock.
All lowercase.
All lowercase, y'all. All lowercase, lowercase. Yep, lowercase if you did capital. Okay. See, look at that. Look how red. Look at that. Can y'all see how red my face is? This is what happens. Okay. This is it. So this is going to be a tote. These were leftover flying geese that I had from my Friendship Blooms quilt that I made. I accidentally cut wrong and ended up with extras, so I made 2. So that is the front, and then the back is identical. So there's 2 panels here, and I've already got the batting behind it. So this is gonna be the bottom of the tote down here. And I did this because bottoms of tote bags can get kind of yucky when you set them, you know, on the ground. So I did something with color on the bottom. So I'm gonna be using the Sashiko to actually stitch an outline around all of these triangles. So if y'all wanna join me and tell your friends, we'll have a Sashiko party next Friday night. Or, I don't know, either at 1 o'clock on Friday or 7, I haven't decided yet. Huh? Oh, the browser. Okay, let's go see who's gonna win. Okay, Chris is gonna spin it. Yeah, you only need to do once. Yeah, y'all enter it once. It kicks out duplicates, so you don't have to worry about that. It kicks it out. So we'll see who it picks here. Okay, we got to wait for it. So I'm going to put it on chat. Okay. There we go. We'll put it on chat while we're waiting for it to pick the winner. Anyway, so I'm going to be using the Sashiko to stitch that tote bag. And when I start out, I'm going to talk a little bit about the machine and kind of how it works. We'll take this magnet off. And just kind of show you like how the thread works and then the actual machine itself. So I'm not going to change a needle or anything till it's time to do that. But a lot of people are just curious about it. So did you drop out or did I? I don't know what Joy's talking about. She said, did you drop out or did I? I'm not sure. Not sure what you mean, Joy. Let me know. The little thing is working right now. Like however it automatically pulls y'all's names. So I'll let you know whenever it tells us who won. Okay, let me see. What else can I tell you? The ties. So Monday at 7. These are all the scraps left over from all those ties. And I think I'm going to do pouches out of all of this for the granddaughters. And then we'll be doing the Dresden. Now, I love double-pointed Dresdens. That's going to be a different tutorial. This will just be the regular Dresden that's going to have the center circle. So we'll definitely do that. And if you want to join me on Monday at 7, I'll do that. And then the Sashiko, I'm not sure yet if it's going to be 1 or 7 on Friday. I haven't decided yet. So it sounds like a lot of y'all are free during the day. I'm assuming some of y'all may be retired or able to work your own schedule. Yeah. Okay, we're getting closer to see who wins this one tonight. Anything else that I forgot that I need to tell them? Let's see what we got here. 160 seconds left. Okay, all right. We'll just keep waiting. I think we're gonna have to come up with a new, different spinny thing. Huh? I thought we did. Yeah, oh, he says I need to do it sooner. Either that, a lot of these little spin the wheel things, you have to pay like a monthly subscription for them, right? So I don't really, this one's free. So we're doing what's free because I'm trying to monetize this channel, y'all. So if you haven't liked or subscribed and tell your friends, right now this is all for free. Yeah. Okay. Let me see what else. I think I mentioned for those that came in late, if you want the pattern to be able to make this quilt. Chris, I think, pinned that at the top of the chat. You can go back up there and check that out and get that. How are we going? 112 seconds. All right. Any, whoops. There we go. I thought I did the Be Right Back song. I have a Be Right Back song, so if I have to run to the bathroom or the UPS guy comes, then I can hit Be Right Back, and it's a little song that plays so we can have a potty break or whatever. Yeah, I thought I accidentally hit that. Any questions about the EPP tonight? What'd y'all think? Are some of y'all that haven't ever done it before, are you gonna give it a try? I hope you do. It's a great use of scraps. And then if you already do this, thanks for just hanging out with me tonight. If you already do this a lot, and I don't know if you picked up any new tips or if this is the way you do it or a new little tool or whatever, but yeah.
4 people said they like Friday better, Friday evenings.
4 people said you like, I should do a poll. 4 people, how many are on right now? 22. Okay, 4 people have said in the evenings. Yeah, okay. And the time zones are kind of different. Hey, Josh. Oh, good to see you too. Glad you logged in. No worries. We just finished up EPP. We're waiting for a winner to be picked. We're talking about what I'll be doing Monday, which is making Dresdens out of silk ties. And then my Baby Lock Sashiko next Friday. But we were trying to decide 1 o'clock or 7 o'clock. And 4 people have said 7. And I don't know about the rest of you, so feel free to drop that in there and let me know if you want. Browser, here we go. 14 seconds, y'all. Put it on browser. 5 seconds. Let's see who the winner is of the Benartex fabrics. It is, here we go, Joy Dixon. You won, Joy. Here we go. Joy, you're the winner. All right. Let me move the screen out of the way so I can see you guys. Quilt husband is like, yeah, I'll have to have him back over because I can't see. Okay, there we go. I've got this big screen that's got all this stuff on it. So, okay, congratulations, Joy. This is what you'll need to do. You'll need to email me at belle@seamsewme.com. So email me with your mailing address and your name, and I will send this out to you tomorrow, if I can get it in the mail tomorrow, or Monday. Okay, congratulations. All right, and a big thanks to Benartex for sponsoring. They're super sweet. They sent me a huge box of jelly rolls. They don't call them jelly rolls. They're called pie strips. For when you come to my retreat center, you get fabric, like you get like jelly rolls and you get bundles and all kinds of stuff like this there. So if y'all ever come to my retreat center and you want to rent it with your friends, I've got some great sponsors that give you really good goodie bags. Okay, y'all. Well, thank you for being with me another night tonight. This, I think, is number 6 of Thread Life with Belle. And I appreciate some of y'all coming back so many times. Tell your friends, share with them if you want, if you like what you're seeing and hearing. And I will be back here Monday at 7 to make Dresdens out of silk and polyester ties. Okay, y'all? All right, friends. Well, thanks for being with me. Congratulations again to our winner tonight, Joy. And thank you all for being with me here on Thread Life with Belle. We'll see you soon and continue to make lovely things.